Hi, this is Miss E, and I wanted to create an instructional video to talk about the article report assignment. So if you happen to have missed class, my goal is that this video will help explain some things to you. And then also if you came to class and saw my presentation but just have additional questions, that's the other reason that I created this video. So basically, this assignment has two parts. It's going to be a report that is going to be either written or typed, and then also it's going to be an informal presentation. Why are we doing this in terms of rationale? To perfect our critical reading skills and to be familiar with presenting. Remember that everything that you do here in your college classroom is foundation of what you're going to be doing in your career. So we can never have enough practice presenting. So just to recap, this is the article that I chose for my presentation. And remember that when you choose your article, first of all, get something that you're interested in, and also be mindful of the length. So if my article was going to be a paragraph long, remember that I'm going to have to create a presentation roughly 2 to 4 minutes off of that. On the other hand, if I got an article that was 5 pages long, again, I'm going to have to structure a presentation. So be mindful of the length. I'm not going to tell you how long or how short the article needs to be, but just remember that in terms of the presentation, you're going to have 2 to 4 minutes to expand on your findings. What are some examples of newspapers you can go to? For example, you can go to the Indianapolis Star, Chicago Tribune, Post Tribune, Chicago Sun-Times, New York Times, USA Today. For example, my article came from USA Today. Think broad. I encourage you to refrain from local publications like the Gary Crusader or the Chicago Crusader. Those have more localized topics, but I want you to think broad because this is going to lay the foundation for future projects in our class. Okay, so the homework assignment that's already been given was the article report. And so you were to get the article of your choice and then complete this 3-page assignment about that article. Remember that your article can come from the business section, entertainment, community, art, cover page, editorial, completely up to you. And the goal was for you to read this article very carefully. I suggested that you read it at least twice before completing this assignment. Remember that the responses on this assignment are all based on the article. So you have to really know the content of that article to answer the questions successfully. So just going on to a few more pages. So notice that a lot of these concepts came out of our notes for Series 1. This report is based off of finding the purpose of the article, the intended audience, looking for facts and opinions. So for example here, question 4 says, based on your class notes, list the 3 types of purpose and the following points. So I'm asking you to literally go right back to your class notes. And each of these charts represents a space of where you can talk about each purpose. So let's say I want to write down persuasion here. That's my first purpose. I'll write it in the gray box. And then I'll go back to my notes and find characteristics or features of persuasion. So how do I know when someone is persuading me? What does that look like? Remember, your notes talked about how persuasion is one-sided, it's opinionated. The author wants you to do something, engage in some prescribed behavior. That's what I'm looking for in terms of characteristics. Genres. We talked about several types of genres or forms of persuasion, editorials, argumentative papers, documentaries. That's what I'm looking for in terms of this response. And so you would complete that for the other purposes that we talked about. And just to recap on question 5, so after you have read this article carefully, what purpose do you see that's most dominant in your article? It may be 1, it may be 2. That depends on the article that you chose. And so I'm looking for examples of evidence as well. And we talked about your evidence, your examples, that's going to come out of the word choice. We know all of this by the word choice. This is the other page asking you for facts. So again, how do we define fact according to the notes, and what are some characteristics of it? Question 8 asks you for 3 facts that you found in your article. What is factual? What can be proven? What is objective? So all you have to do here is either write or type out the sentences. Okay, so after you've completed that assignment and know that it is posted in Blackboard in the class sessions folder, now you're ready to focus on the article report talk. So this talk is going to be very informal. We're going to gather in a circle and everybody's going to talk for a couple of minutes about their respective article. This assignment is your test. It's worth 65 points. I thought this would be a little bit different in terms of having the traditional test. We can just talk and share some important points as they're connected to Series 1. And so the purpose is for you to retell a news story according to what we've discussed in class. And so your articles must be relevant and current. You are going to be using the same article for this assignment as you did for the report. So really the report is front loading. You're getting all of the work done there. In this talk part, you're just sharing some points with your classmates. You can also find this assignment located in Blackboard, the Series 1 folder. It's a folder titled Article Report Talk. Be sure that you read these guidelines very carefully. Just to draw your attention to the area below, it says students will receive an F, an automatic F, if, and all the criteria is listed here. So you have to have an approved article. When you present, you must have a copy of the article. I suggest that you use note cards, and also you must present on the assigned day. This is considered a test, so please plan to be here. If for some reason you cannot be here, please let me know. So this is the feedback sheet. So when you come up to present, I'm going to ask for your article and then also this completed feedback sheet. All you need to do is fill in the spaces up here. So notice I have a space for student name, the date, the type of article, the title, author, source, and date retrieved. So for example, if you got your article on June 25th, you would write June 25th in there. So that's the date that the article was retrieved, not written. So this is all that you need to complete regarding this sheet. So after you fill in this important information, submit this and your article to me, and then you can begin your formal talk. So these criteria listed here, each of these are 5 points each. So that's how I came up to the 65 points. And basically, while you're talking, I'm going to be checking off, did I hear this person talk about the purpose, the audience, the tone, yes or no? This is very cut and dry. Remember that you have read this article several times, you've broken it apart, so I have full confidence that you're going to be able to complete this talk successfully. All of the criteria here is reflective of what we've talked about in class. So the first point up here says completed feedback sheet. Yes, you will get 5 points if you complete the top portion of this sheet properly. Every semester, students complete this type of assignment, and someone always gives me a blank sheet. So please just follow directions carefully and complete this top portion up here. Properly and orally cited source. So that refers to the title of your article, the author, the source, and the date retrieved. Remember that you're going to have to tell the audience what you want us to know. And so before you begin a presentation, it's always wise to give us a little background. Who wrote the article? What's the title? What's the date? And then all of these criteria are familiar to you. Identification of intended audience, rationale for intended audience. So why was that audience chosen? What in that article lets you know it was designed for that specific audience? Main point. What's the article about? What's the author's purpose? Evidence of the author's purpose. So again, we're going back to that article. You can certainly pull the content from your report into this article. author's tone, facts and opinions. I think that if you provide 3 facts and 3 opinions, that's sufficient. It gives the listeners enough content to understand the purpose of your article and then the important elements to it. Possible bias. Now, this may or may not be applicable. If you happen to have an editorial where there's a lot of suggestive word choice and connotations and value words like we talked about in class, then you're going to see bias. However, if you have a more neutrally informative based article, you may not. Again, it just depends on the type of article that you chose. So this is really the meat of the presentation. And all of these things, again, have come from our class notes. So we're familiar with these concepts. Other things to remember in a presentation, preparedness, appreciation, articulation, and dynamism. So when you present, have note cards. Again, you don't have to memorize anything. You can jot down all of these criteria, the main point, author's purpose, tone. You can write that on note cards and just read from there. Appreciation. Please act like you care. Don't act like you're doing the audience a favor. We feed off of your energy. Articulation. Make sure that everything is pronounced clearly. And of course, if you have any questions on that, just see me after class or in my office. And then dynamism. So that's that energy and that passion. So when you pick an article that you're interested in, you're going to have a natural dynamism about it. And again, the audience feeds off of that. If you're not excited about your presentation, we won't be either. And the last point just talks about learn lessons and ideas from this experience or topic. So after analyzing this article, have you learned anything? Did it prompt you to read more about the topic? Do you have a greater understanding of critical reading and critical thinking? Just talk about any revelations that you have. And so again, this is worth just 65 points. And the timing on it is between 2 to 4 minutes. So again, I have complete faith that you can do excellent in this project. Just some last tips. So again, select an article as soon as possible and get one that you're interested in. Also, be mindful of the length of your article. So in a way, you can make this project as easy or as hard as you want to. Read your article at least 3 times before completing the report. So again, you want to get a good sense of this article. You want this to be broken down with full understanding. And that way it's going to be easier for you to convey this to the audience. Use note cards. Again, I strongly suggest note cards with some type of outline and where you can type out the content as needed. Or write out the content as needed. Practice presenting with the timer. So remember, when the timer goes off, I stop grading. So you definitely want to answer all of that criteria within the allotted time of 2 to 4 minutes. And finally, ask questions. Again, if you have any questions, reservations, or concerns about this project, please see me as soon as possible. All right, now see you in class. Have a great day.